Hello and welcome to the Toshogu Podcast, where we break down the latest news, breakthroughs, and ideas shaping the future of artificial intelligence. We have a massive tectonic shift in the AI landscape to talk about today. You see, the competitive advantage in this space is no longer just about who has access to the smartest, most capable model.
Right, that era is kind of fading out.
Yeah, exactly. Instead, the real battle is over control of four foundational layers, which are capital, infrastructure, identity, and security, and governance. Let's begin.
It really is a remarkable pivot to witness. I mean, we are leaving this period of pure scientific discovery and entering an era defined by just brutal industrial scale economics.
Totally. It is not just happening in research labs anymore.
No, not at all. It is playing out in the bond markets, across physical power grids, and, inside international regulatory frameworks.
Okay, let's unpack this, because to really understand the shift, we have to start at the very bottom of the stack.
The physical infrastructure.
Right. The raw compute power and the literal billions of dollars required to build it. And there is a development right now that just perfectly encapsulates this scale.
Oh, the NVIDIA news.
Yes. So NVIDIA is reportedly in talks to provide roughly $250 billion in financing guarantees for OpenAI.
We really have to pause and digest that figure for a second.
It is wild.
$250 billion. I mean, a financing guarantee of that size from a single hardware provider is larger than the gross domestic product of many entire countries.
Yeah, it is just astronomical concentration of capital. And it isn't just money moving around on a spreadsheet either.
Right. It is tied to physical reality.
Exactly. This guarantee is tied to a massive 10-gigawatt data center project in southern Ohio. And that is being developed by SoftBank's energy subsidiary with an initial 800-megawatt phase targeted for 2028.
Which is already a huge undertaking.
Right, but the total project could cost over $500 billion. And NVIDIA is also discussing financing up to $350 billion in chip purchases.
It is almost hard to comprehend.
So 10 gigawatts sounds like a sci-fi number to me. What does that actually look like in the real world?
Well, 10 gigawatts is not a data center. It is a dedicated city of compute.
A city.
Yeah, to put that in perspective, a typical large-scale data center today might draw, 50 to 100 megawatts.
Okay, wow.
So 10 gigawatts is basically the power consumption of a massive metropolitan area like New York City.
That is insane.
You do not just plug a facility like that into the existing electrical grid. Doing so would cause regional blackouts.
So what do they even do?
You were talking about building dedicated power plants, likely natural gas or advanced nuclear, alongside these massive liquid cooling infrastructures.
Which take a lot of resources.
Literal rivers of water, plus the acquisition of vast tracts of land. The sheer physical footprint required to support this next generation of technology is becoming the primary bottleneck right now.
So basically, NVIDIA isn't just a component supplier anymore.
No, definitely not.
I mean, think about a real-world analogy. It is like vendor financing in the heavy machinery industry.
Right, like buying a tractor.
Exactly. They aren't just selling you the tractor. They are becoming the bank that gives you the loan to buy the tractor.
Which is a very smart business move for them.
Yeah, because it effectively locks in years of demand, but it also increases concentration risk massively.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it fundamentally alters the entire economic structure of the industry.
Because the infrastructure is so expensive now.
Yes. AI infrastructure is no longer funded solely from excess cash. Up until recently, hyperscalers were just using their search and e-commerce profits as a slush fund for this stuff.
Right, but you can't just pay cash for a 10-gigawatt power plant.
Exactly. So they are tapping the debt markets. And because debt costs are rising, there's immense pressure on companies to prove actual utilization, revenue, and return on invested capital.
ROI is finally mattering again.
Yes. The days of building it just to see what happens are gone.
And speaking of debt, the markets are actually getting really jittery. I saw that credit default swap pricing has risen for major tech companies.
That is a huge indicator.
Yeah, Oracle is showing the strongest signal right now. And just to clarify, rising credit default swap prices basically mean Wall Street thinks there is a higher risk these companies might default on their debt.
Well, just look at how much they are borrowing. Alphabet, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, and Oracle had raised nearly $302 billion through equity and debt by late July.
$300 billion. Just those five.
Yeah. And broader estimates cite $489 billion of AI-related bond and loan supply this year alone.
$500 billion in a single year.
It is staggering.
So for the listener, if you are an enterprise negotiating cloud capacity right now or designing an architecture, you absolutely must build in model portability.
You have to.
You cannot let your business become economically dependent on a single model provider or a single cloud. If their debt catches up to them and API prices triple, you need an escape hatch.
You need the middleware to route your workloads elsewhere the second that happens.
Exactly. But if the physical infrastructure and the capital are centralizing under this immense financial pressure, how do we secure the actual software running on top of it?
The autonomous applications.
Right, the agents. This takes us to the security layer. Here's where it gets really interesting. NVIDIA just launched the Open Secure AI Alliance.
With a lot of major players backing it.
Yeah, over 40 inaugural partners. Microsoft, IBM, Salesforce, Hugging Face, CrowdStrike, Palantir. The list goes on.
It is a serious coalition.
And alongside that, NVIDIA released the NVIDIA Labs Object-Oriented Agent Framework, or NOAA, to help test, trace, and govern these agents. But the catalyst for all of this was a recent security incident at Hugging Face, right?
Yes, and it is a brilliant illustration of how immature our current safety paradigms really are.
So what actually happened?
An autonomous agent system basically went rogue and executed thousands of actions. So the incident response team jumped in to do forensic analysis.
Sounds standard so far.
But during the incident, the hosted frontier models that they were using to analyze the logs actually blocked parts of the investigation.
Wait, the AI blocked the security team?
Yes. The built-in safety guardrails couldn't distinguish the defensive forensic work from the malicious activity.
Because it just saw malicious code in the logs.
Exactly. It triggered a hard refusal and shut down the investigation. Hugging Face actually had to use a smaller open-weight model locally just to investigate their own breach.
That is wild. It is literally like a highly advanced bank vault automatically locking the security guards inside during a robbery.
That is exactly what it is like.
So does this mean security in AI is finally moving past vague marketing promises into actual standardized technology?
It absolutely does. Security is now a concrete stack.
So what does that stack look like?
It involves strict agent identity, rigid action boundaries, immutable traces, and, as Hugging Face learned, local fallbacks.
Like the NOAA framework provides.
Right, because buyers will soon demand mathematical proof of these controls before letting an agent touch their CRM, their finances, or their customer data.
I mean, you wouldn't give a brand new human employee unmonitored access to your corporate bank account.
Exactly. Why would you give an API key to a cloud agent without an audit trail?
So if you are deploying agents, you need a strict agent security baseline. You need least privilege access, human approval for consequential actions, complete action logs, and a standard fallback to a local open-weight model for emergencies.
It is the only responsible way to operate now.
Okay, so we have massive centralization of capital and this frantic push for standardized security protocols. But how is the government responding to this rapid adoption?
The regulatory reality check.
Right, which brings us to the final layer, governance. The EU AI Omnibus just entered into force.
Which is a huge milestone.
Yeah, the timeline is set. High-risk AI rules will apply from December 2nd, 2027, and rules for AI embedded in physical products apply from August 2nd, 2028.
But there's a twist here.
There is. I have to push back a bit on my own assumptions here because, wait, isn't the European Union usually known for adding more red tape?
They are the undisputed champions of it, usually.
Right. But this omnibus actually reduces administrative friction for SMEs and small mid-cap companies.
It is a massive pivot for them.
It is. I am honestly surprised that the EU is making it easier for smaller companies. How does this change the game for businesses that were previously terrified to adopt AI because of compliance fears?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the European Union realized their initial frameworks were basically freezing their own domestic market.
Startups were just too scared of the fines to even try.
Exactly. So they reversed course. They expanded access to regulatory sandboxes. They removed the requirement to register exempted systems in the EU database. And they eliminated the harmonized post-market monitoring plan for these smaller players.
They even downgraded the corporate AI literacy requirements to just non-binding encouragement.
Right. So while the core risk management obligations haven't disappeared, you still have to be safe, the excuse of we cannot start because the AI Act is too complicated is now a much weaker objection.
What exactly is a regulatory sandbox, though? How does that help?
It offers a clear, supervised route for testing. So instead of guessing if your new agent is compliant and risking a massive fine, You work directly with the regulators in a safe harbor environment to ensure it is safe before a full rollout.
Wow, so the regulator becomes a partner instead of an adversary.
Precisely.
So the takeaway for businesses, especially in Spain and the wider EU or anyone selling into Europe, is that it is time to stop delaying.
You have to get moving.
You can now create a lightweight EU AI readiness plan. You focus on system inventory, risk classification, and just a 90-day compliance action plan, and you can do it without being crushed by administrative burdens.
Inaction is now a strategic failure, not a defense.
Well said. So to briefly summarize this entire shift, to survive this new era of AI, you cannot just chase the smartest model.
No, the foundational models are becoming commoditized anyway.
Exactly. You must sell and demand measurable workflows. Every single AI implementation you authorize should have a baseline metric, an expected monthly operating cost, and a hard stop or go review date.
You need strict operational discipline.
Which leaves us with a provocative thought to consider. If model quality is no longer enough to win, and big tech is rapidly monopolizing the infrastructure, the capital, and the security standards.
Which they absolutely are doing.
Right. Are we heading toward a future where AI models just become a cheap, invisible utility, like electricity? And if so, is the only true value left simply who owns the copper wire? That's all for today's episode of the Toshogu Podcast. If you enjoyed it, like this episode, subscribe, and join us next time for the latest in AI. Until then, keep building what outlives you.